Hi, everybody. Welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of Women in Retail Leadership Circle, which is a membership-based community of executive women at leading retailers and brands. Today, I'm joined by Debbie Perelman, the president and CEO of Revlon and a member of its board of directors. Described as a thoughtful, team-oriented, and decisive leader, Debbie is breaking paradigms to compete in today's digital and consumer-first environment. She's also recognized for her global perspective, financial acumen, and holistic approach to brands, consumers, and technology. In this episode, we're discussing Debbie's career, what she's most proud of in her role as president and CEO of Revlon so far, some hiring best practices that she swears by, and what Debbie and Revlon is doing around mental health and wellness in the workplace. So thank you so much for joining me today, Debbie. Really excited.
Thank you, Melissa. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you for inviting me to be joining our podcast.
Great. So we're just going to start at the beginning. Please tell us a little bit about your career journey and how you became the president and CEO of Revlon, where you currently are.
So I have to say I've been really fortunate in my career for many reasons. One being my career really has been in and around Revlon since the beginning. So I actually started my career out of college at Revlon. I started within the finance organization and then was able to move into a management training program, which Revlon had at the time, which was a 2-year program, which I participated in, and it really gave me exposure to many different functions across the organization, from marketing and sales to supply chain to international marketing and sales. So it was such a great way to start my career and really understand a company holistically, and along the way made great friends and many mentors. So I was very lucky. Along the way after this, I went to business school. I like to say it's where I was really focused on building my toolbox to go back out into the professional world. I was very focused on finance, accounting, as well as marketing. And then I returned to Revlon as a brand manager on the Almay brand. And that brand is still very close to my heart. I've been a user of that brand for many, many years. And in the portfolio today, I watch that brand, like all of the others, very closely, but it does hold a special place. And after a few years of doing that, I did move into the investment world. So I left Revlon, I went into family office, private investing at McAndrews and Forbes, where I was able also to participate with Revlon on some of the acquisitions they did over the years. And I returned to Revlon in 2017, coming in as operating officer focused on brand growth and the digital acceleration, which then led me into the role of CEO, which I am so honored and humbled by, to be able to be a steward of the company with such iconic brands in the market.
That's awesome. I just have to say, I also am a fan of the Almay brand, and it sort of warms a piece in my heart because my mom was the one that introduced me to it. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's very interesting how, you sort of stayed on that finance track and that kind of helped you move in. I think that's really important for a lot of our listeners, the importance of having that sort of financial acumen to move up in the company. So that's really interesting. So I'd love to talk a little bit about something that you maybe have accomplished in the last year that you're particularly proud of. Like, we love to have women, sort of brag a little bit on this podcast. So is there anything that you've done or happened, professionally that you're really proud of at Revlon?
I really have to say, Melissa, I'm really excited, one, that you asked the question, but two, I want to highlight the importance for other women who are listening, right? That it is really important to take a step back and acknowledge accomplishments as a professional. I think at times women, including myself, don't do that as often as we should. So I appreciate the question. I think that I'm proud of a lot of things that happened in the past year, but first and foremost is really around how the team at Revlon managed through a lot of uncertainty. I mean, even going back to the beginning of 21 or even the beginning of 22, I think so many times we thought that there would be more stability in the market. And in fact, I think it's actually gone the opposite way. We're really living in a time with so much uncertainty. There's still COVID. We still experience COVID lockdowns, globally. We have, conflicts in Russia and Ukraine. We're dealing with macroeconomic issues that are impacting, people personally as well as professionally. So it's a very complicated world that we're managing through. And, I believe that the team has really come together to support each other and support the business. And I know that's not saying one particular thing, but it is an accomplishment in terms of when you build teams to have it be a leadership team and not just a team of leaders. So that's one. And the second accomplishment that I'm really proud of is how we managed our return to office. So we really spent about 2 years developing our plan to return to office that really incorporated what I believe is the best parts of working in the office as well as working remotely. And we launched a pilot at the beginning of this year where we tried to capture both. And this goes alongside having surveyed the employees multiple times to get their feedback to ensure that we were incorporating their voice into the plan. So we created a program called the Moments That Matter. And this means that each team has specific moments where they need to work cross-functionally to move their business forward. So what does that mean? That means that we're a creative company, right? So that means that meetings that have a focus on creativity are done in person. Meetings that we believe, are focused on brainstorming, that are focused on team building, right? That are focused on areas which really need in-person cross-functional collaboration. Where we felt we are slowed down by remote only is where we're focused. So we bring these teams together at specific moments during the week, and that's where these teams come into the office. And the remainder of the time, the employees can choose whether they want to be in the office, they can come in, or they can choose to work remotely. And to date, the feedback has been very strong. So I think for us, we're really trying to create a balance as well as be in a position where we can encourage and really execute on the flexibility, which we know that our employees are looking for today.
So great. I love that. Seems like you sort of hit all the right buttons there in terms of what the company needs and also what the employee needs. So it sounds great. So you spoke a little bit about your team during that answer. So what are some of the traits, skills, and experiences you look for when hiring a team member? And then once you hire them, how do you sort of motivate them and keep them excited?
So let me first focus on the motivation and inspiration, because at Revlon, this is really where I have been focused as a leader. So when I came in 2018, I really focused on how to collaborate not only with the leadership team, but also with the employees to be in a position where we can create and craft our vision and our values. And this took a bit of time, it really did. And so we were in a position where we, the leadership team and myself, really took feedback, and we were able to launch in 2020 a new vision and a new set of values for the company, because I really wanted everybody to understand what we're working towards, but also have people speak the same language regarding what the company stood for. So our vision in creating beauty innovations for everyone that inspire confidence and ignite joy is really to be in a position to do just that, inspire confidence and ignite joy every single day. So I feel very fortunate that we were able to be in a position to really land on that. Secondly, with regards to our values, which we live every single day, right? And those really stand around collaboration, innovation, inclusion, and accountability. All of these combined lead us to create a culture of motivation and inspiration. And I think that these are really the foundation, the vision and the values of what inspire and motivate the teams in order to really execute on what they do every single day. And I think based on the feedback that we have received, which at the end of the day, I want to make sure that employees feel like they have a voice at the company, the response has been very strong. It's been very strong. So I feel, very proud of that. And I feel like that is part of what it means to be a leader at Revlon. In terms of how we hire at Revlon for leadership roles, very focused on fit. It has to be, the person has to fit culturally in terms of what we are building as a team. And that goes to the values that I just highlighted. I think that the skill set obviously comes at that level. The skill set is there, or needs to be vetted that it's there. But assuming it is there, it really comes down to fit. And the values need to be at the forefront of how the candidate or the leader really acts, as well as how they inspire and motivate their own teams and their success to be able to do that. And communication is key. Communication is really key to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important today, especially with, all the headlines about the Great Resignation, and you get these great folks hired and then they leave because it wasn't the right fit or it wasn't the right culture. And, sort of the importance of keeping people happy once you get them is so key right now, I think.
It is very important. I think
right.
A supportive environment
Yeah.
where employees at any level are really able to see a path for themselves within the organization is extremely important, as well as providing training, to employees so they can further build their skill set.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
again, I look to, the initiatives that we've put in place, such as flexibility or Moments That Matter, to showcase that we're creating an environment that is new, that is different, that we're not looking to go back to where we were, particularly within office, but really moving forward.
Yes. Speaking of keeping people happy and keeping them motivated, I know well-being and mental health are really important right now, as in terms of not only for employees, but for everybody, given what we've been dealing with for the past 2 years. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to make sure that your employees feel healthy and safe, and then also what you're doing personally?
Okay, so let me first start with at Revlon and what we're doing. And Melissa, I know we've spoken about this previously. I could talk about this all day because I think this is not only a personal passion of mine, but it's also so important for employees and companies to be really activating this mental well-being in the workplace. So I'll start with tactically what we have been doing. So even during the pandemic, we made sure that our teams reacted very, very quickly to ensure the physical health and the physical safety of our employees, and that these measures were in place because our manufacturing facilities globally and our R&D facilities globally remained open during that time. So this was very critical. Also during that time, which we've continued throughout the past 2 years, for parents, for working mothers, we hosted a few fireside chats with mental health experts to be able to provide employees with additional support. We did also include, their partners who they chose, or family members who they chose to be able to participate on those fireside chats as well, and that we received good feedback. I would also say that, we've been, very focused on really pledging as a company that we are committed to mental wellness in the workplace. And most recently, we have partnered with One Mind at Work in order to do that, where we are working with them to build out our journey to build a culture that is supportive of mental wellness every day. And one of the first steps that we've done is we actually just implemented wellness days throughout our organization. And that has been very well received, where we're able to give employees, either on-site or off-site, time to focus on their mental well-being.
That's so amazing. Tell me a little bit about the organization that you just mentioned.
So One Mind at Work is really an employer-led organization. So large corporations coming together with the same mission to be able to provide mental wellness in the workplace. And it's a pledge by these organizations that we're committed to executing on.
Mhm.
And each organization goes through their own journey on how and when they're going to execute on the pledge. But it's really showcasing the commitment of organizations globally that this is an important issue to tackle, as well as showcase externally that there's commitment.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to look into that group. So they work with corporations. That's really cool.
Mhm.
And we talked a little bit about personally too. I mean, do you do anything personally to to focus on wellness, or that you want to share, or
Well, I would say I do a lot, right? I'm
yeah,
going to take one step back because I mentioned that one of the passions of mine is around mental well-being,
yeah,
and particularly for children. So I co-founded about 14 years ago the Child Mind Institute in New York, which really
wow,
focuses on delivering care, research, and advocacy around child mental health. And, today we've seen kids probably in 48 states. We've seen over 10,000 kids, and, continue to focus on reducing the stigma around child mental health. And so from a personal perspective, that's where I'd like to spend some time on
yeah,
well-being. From myself, I would say that I do various things for myself. I
right.
find that, setting my day up by working out is very important to me. So physical activity helps with both mental and physical wellness. And I would highlight that. I think most of my team knows that. And most people around me know that. So I do tend to start my day that way, as well as probably too many cups of coffee.
But then personally too, you talked a little bit about this group that you started. So do you have anything that you want to talk a little bit about that some more maybe, or anything that you have coming up?
Well, we have, a number of initiatives throughout the year. Most recently, I'm just going to highlight again, the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So there are a number of things happening this month, whether it's Child Mind Institute related or outside of Child Mind Institute related. And it's really an important month for me personally, but also professionally, because we are able to highlight initiatives that we're doing with One Mind at Work or even with our brands. But
Mm,
the Child Mind Institute, even today on social media, is highlighting various celebrities are out there talking about, what, with their own struggles with mental health, as well as, encouraging youth to go out there and ask for help, which I think is extremely important. I also am hosting an event towards the end of the month with the president of the Child Mind Institute, focused on working parents
mm,
and what it means to be a working parent today. And there are a lot of stressors on people individually, as well as on their families during this period of time.
right. That's great. That must be so rewarding for you. And that's what a great cause.
Thank you.
Um,
So
so
Melissa, if I can just ask you, I know I've been speaking for a very long time, but if I can just ask you one question, which is,
sure.
what do you do personally for mental wellness?
Um, yeah, that is a great question. To me, it's all about nature. There's a book called The Nature Fix. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it's the idea of just being in nature and how it can really be transformative. So, while I'm not necessarily working out, which I should probably be doing more, but I always make sure to, at least take a walk or two every day. Just really keeps me grounded and keeps me focused and makes me feel good. So I would say that. My company's been great about, giving folks like if you feel uncomfortable, if you want to take a day off, mental health day is fine. We also have something called no meetings or email Fridays. So people can just focus on, getting their stuff done. So therefore they're not as stressed for the week ahead. They use Friday as a way to catch up. So yeah, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot more that I could be doing for sure. But, it's definitely a big part of my company and me personally.
That's so good to hear. I agree with you about nature. I wish I could do that more. I
I
really
know.
do. Especially living in New York, it doesn't present itself so often, but I'm
Right.
going to take some inspiration from you there.
Yeah.
I really am. I'd just like to highlight also, because you did mention the Fridays, your Fridays, no meetings, and limited emails. And that
Right.
was a feedback that we received at Revlon from our employees, is that people were using the weekends to catch up on work. And I really wanted to figure out a way where we could either significantly limit that or eliminate it altogether. And we did something similar where we do what's called Focus Time Fridays. So after 2 p.m. globally, there are no standing meetings, there are no regularly scheduled meetings, so that we can try to unlock that, to give people back their own personal time and have people use afternoons to catch up on work and get ready for the week ahead, which I actually think reduces stressors
Definitely.
for employees. So we've received good feedback. I mean, I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah, it's been great. And what's been really great about it is how everyone collectively is doing it. There's sometimes folks will be sneaking in a meeting or something, they have to have a meeting, but if everyone's sort of on the same wavelength, that really makes a difference as well. So thanks for asking me that. I'm not used to being asked questions on this podcast. Okay, we just have a couple more questions and we'll have to wrap it up, unfortunately. But another big topic for our listeners and for our members is mentorship. Every single woman that we've probably talked to has spoken about how important it is, and how they do mentoring now. So has mentorship been important to you? And can you talk about maybe a mentor that you've had that's helped you in your career? And then finally, if you're doing any mentoring for others.
Sure. Look, I agree with what you just said, which is mentorship is very important for anyone in the workplace, and I think particularly for women in the workplace. There's not just one person that I would call out, because I surround myself with a lot of people, and many of whom I consider to be more informal mentors, but are present in my professional life. And I think it's critical to have people around in your professional life that you can call up when things are going well, but particularly when things are not going as well as you had liked, and that they're, approaching questions that you have and situations that you're in with honesty and with honest feedback. And it's not, sometimes those moments is not really what you want to hear, right? But looking back, it actually provided the most growth. And I think that's where the value of mentors come in, is really with that type of honesty and experience. And from myself, in terms of, actually mentoring, I wish I could do it more. Honestly, I really do. I really try to jump in with particularly younger entrepreneurs to be in a position to help them, as well as, younger people within the company, but nothing formal today.
Yeah, it's great. And I appreciate the concept of sort of informal mentoring, because I think what scares people is that they think it has to be a formal program where they have to call someone, but it's really just about having a nice group of people that you can turn to for advice. So I think that's really important. So that's about all we have time for right now. So thank you so much, Debbie, for joining me. I really feel like I learned so much. I love what you're doing for mental health, and hopefully I'll see you IRL soon.
I hope so too. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. To learn more about women in retail and become a member of this amazing community, visit womeninretail.com. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.